right on time this time. Yay! Let me get myself ready and post it on places. Let me get started. Making sure. Let's see. Just landing. I should just post a link. Can people hear me? That's the question first. Let's see. Increasing the gain. I made the decision that my sleepy self decide to execute with having some avocado ice cream as I starting this. But I am hydrated for the least. All right, let's see. Can I expand this window? I can. Can I? I can. I actually can. Not by much. But I can just do this. Whee. It's not gonna be on full screen, but we're doing English. I'm gonna increase text speed just by a little bit because I'll be reading out these lines. Oh. Just checking. Do I get everything? One second. Uh-oh. Let's see. Key one. Oh, they all changed to alt. That's why none of my key stuff works. I bind them wrong. There we go. I was wondering why my expression stays limited. That's why. Alrighty. Let us see. Let us see what goes here. Alright. Hydration set. This song sounds kind of like Ghibli music in a way. In a good way. Just making sure all of my volumes are set. I'm not blasting my own ears off. Let's see. There we go. Whee. I promise all I do is copy and pasting links. Alright. That should be good. Is there anything else I need to worry about? No? Posting. Testing. Chat is set. Turn this off so my game's not lagging. I mean, it's visual novel, so it's not gonna lag, but never know. Alrighty, without further ado, let's start. Today we're playing what's advertised as Yandere Yuri visual novel, created by Ebihime. It's called It Gets So Lonely Here. I've been hearing a lot about this game and I'm excited to try it. Without further ado, let's go. I love these roses. Yeah. You are running through a forest. It is late at night and the sky is as black as pitch. There's nothing to light your way save for the moon's milky glow, but its rays cannot reach you, not properly. The trees which surround you, jutting out of the earth like eerie monuments to a foreign god, are blotting out most of the light. You cannot see where you're going. Even if you had commenced your flight at a more sensible hour, however, with the light of the sun to aid you, it would be of little use. You do not know where you're going. You have no map, no route, no plan. You're running like a frightened animal, anxious and nervy, with no destination in mind. You have no desire as you run, save to escape. You cannot let yourself be caught. If that were to happen, you are certain that you would be ruined. You have no choice, therefore, but to keep going, on and on and on, though your feet are screaming at you for mercy. You have no idea how long you have been running. Time has begun to blend together. It has lost all meaning. Something sharp snags at the hem of your skirt, but you do not have the luxury to pause and examine what has happened. Instead, you tug. Your skirt tears, the sound slitting through the forest, and you stumble forward with a shocked grasp. You are free, but at what cost? Your skirt has been irrevocably damaged. It might be too late to worry about such trivial matters now, though. If you do not start running again, and soon, she will catch you. Then your life will be over. You do not know if she is still following you, but you do not want to risk looking over your shoulder. If you were to see her, silhouette beneath a tree, looking at you with that sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, you would lose what little nerve you possess. Your legs was locked up, and your blood would freeze in your veins. Then you would crumple. You would fall, but you would not hit the ground. She would be there to catch you. Did she not promise when you made that contract that you would never be alone? You would like to take back that silly wish of yours, but it is too late for that. It is too late for a lot of things. All you can do is run. You run and run and run while icy fog swirls about your feet. It is cold enough to sap the heat from your body, and you shudder from it. It feels as though you are drowning. It feels as though you are being buried alive. Your knees and your shins, meanwhile, are bleeding. You cannot endure much more of this. But if you value your own life, you must. You run and you run and you run until at long last you reach a fork in the road. There are three paths which splits off through the forest. Well, 4 if you count the path down which you came. You cannot exactly double back on yourself, though, not when you have put so much effort into running forward. You can only press on. The 3 paths are signposted, which is something of a strange sight given you are so deep in the forest. Dark though it may be, you have grown accustomed to the shadows. You can just about pick out the writing on this old, dilapidated signpost, curved and slanted though it is. Your fate, if you will forgive me for sounding cliché, is in your hand. Now, I wonder, which path will you take? Let's see. We have go to the shore, go to the village, and go to the castle. Interesting. Oh, go to the shore means out in the sea. You're kind of stuck there, you know? But what if there's a boat? Like, what if you're in an island and you can get out? But what if there's nothing? Go to a village, you might be able to find people, but are people gonna help you? In a castle, you can seek help, but you don't know if the people in there are nice. Oh, there might be more chance if you search the village, I think. So let's do that. To the village. So, you want to go to the village? Good idea. Let us see what further trial awaits you there. This night is far from over, as much as you might wish it was, and there is still much and more to discover. I wonder what will happen next. You follow the path which lead to the village, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which feel ready at a moment's notice to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. The soles on your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, and quickly. You only hope, as you continue to run, that you will find a suitable residence in which to rest at the village. You do not know what will await you at the village, but you have vision, as you run, a quaint, scenic settlement, all thatched cottage with sloping roof. Surely there will be a kindly peasant who will be willing to put up a young runaway for a few nights. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly peasant from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. She will be broad-shouldered and ruddy-faced, with dull brown hair crammed beneath a cap. Her arms will be sturdy from many years of washing clothes and milking cows, but she will be kind to you and compassionate, just like a mother. You do not know what mothers are like. You hardly ever spoke to yours. You are only guessing. You are not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Peasants do not, as you know from your voracious reading, have much money, nor do they have much food. It might be hard to convince a resident of the village, even the kindly washerwoman of your fantasies, to take in a complete stranger. Still, you must try. That is all you can do, really. So, you run to the village. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally, you manage it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time has begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwell within it. It is still cold, though, and still foggy. It is still dark, too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though, as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. Oh, that's a nice line. The moonlight shines down upon the village, nestled among the hills like a diorama. Hope anew bubbles within you. You have finally made it. Surely not, but your salvation awaits you. You followed the winding dirt path to the village, looking this way and that. But your hope, such precious, fragile thing, soon begins to fade. The village up close does not look half as welcoming as you imagine. There are cottages, yes, but they're in a state of disrepair. There are holes in the roof and holes in the window. Most of the doors are tightly shut, but others are gaping open. The kitchen beyond them are even darker than the night sky which shrouds you. Well, there are no lights on in any of the windows, and neither can you see any people, insomniacs like you, at them. You cannot hear anything either beyond the sound of your own footstep and the low, mournful sighing of the wind. The village is quite quiet, eerily so. It is immediately obvious, even to a naive girl such as yourself, that something terrible must have befallen this village. You know before you try your luck at one of the houses that nobody will answer you. There will be no kindly red-armed washerwoman to welcome you here, no matter how much you wish for it. But that does not stop you from wishing regardless. Your knuckles rap smartly against the wooden door. Your efforts soon prove, however, to be in vain. There's nobody here to hear your entreaties. How very sad. You try another door, then another, but the result is the same regardless of how many doors you rap upon. Nobody answers you. How could they? There's nobody there. Once again, you have found yourself all alone. At least you have found some dwellings in which you can rest your weary head. Will you utilize one of these cottages for your purposes? Nobody is here. You might as well. But no, an abandoned cottage is not what you're looking for. You would far rather have companionship, would you not? Bravely, you swallow your tears. You wipe your eyes with the back of your arms in a well-practiced motion. Then inhale. You square your shoulders, and you keep on going. Surely the village cannot be completely deserted. There must be one person here, at the very least, who can help you. That is what you're thinking as you resume your search. You flit from cottage to cottage with precious little to show for your determination until you make yet another discovery. This village with its squat thatched cottages bathed in the moon glow has a church. Well, of course it has a church. The villagers who once dwelt here were not godless heathens. Not that their faith did them all that much good in the end. Still, the sight of the church soothed your overtaxed heart. You were so focused on your fantasies of a kindly washerwoman taking you in, you did not pause to entertain the fancy of a kindly nun doing much the same. All hope is not lost. I don't know, girlie. I mean, church are nice, but also, You approach the church, which seems to tower over you despite it being so humble. The church is a small one, but it is stout and sturdy. It must be, for it has withstood centuries, forever standing sentinel on this hill like a relic from a bygone era. The church does not have any stained glass window, but it does not need them. Even without more luxurious trapping, the church still exudes an aura of dignified solemnity. The stone building is fringed by a sizable graveyard, one which occupies the rest of the hilltop and some of its sloping sides. I don't like the sound of this. The graves, which have been planted by generations of wardens, are hewn from a similar stone to that which the church wall is made of. I especially don't like the sound of that. Some of the gravestones are shaped like lozenges, while others are shaped like crosses. A handful of headstones are even shaped like angels, though these are few and far between. There are very few people in a village such as this one who can afford such luxurious final resting places. You look at the tombstone with an almost childlike curiosity, forgetting in your examination of the visceral, heart-rending fear which grip you as you run through the forest. You are out of the woods now, and you have, subconsciously, already begun to relax. You try to read the name hewn into the myriad tombstones, but it is dark, and you are tired. And some of these graves are very, very old indeed. You strain your eyes, but you do not have much luck in this endeavor. Oh well, such such superfluous details are not important. You eventually tire of examining the graves and turn. This graveyard is an expensive one, unusually so, given the village itself is so small. How can it boast so many corpses? And there is much to explore. You walk about the perimeter of the church, casting your gaze first here, then there, then everywhere. Consumed as you are by your immense, all-encompassing curiosity. Girl, it's like late night. Are you supposed to like get rest? Your eyes are tired. Like, I would find my first priority would be finding a good place to nap safely. And as you do, you see her. Oh? She looks like an ordinary girl, small and scrawny, just like yourself, but she is much, much more than her unremarkable appearance might suggest. For some moment you observe her, hiding all the while in the shadow cast by the church, like a furtive lizard clinging against a rocky edifice to shroud itself from the sun. There's no sunlight here, though. There's only the night sky and the stars and the moon. Beneath the moon's light, a silvery implement the girl is clutching shimmers. It takes you a few moments to see what it is that the girl is clutching in her hands. It is not until you see her manipulate it, its sharp edge biting into the earth, that you understand. It is a shovel. This girl is standing in an isolated corner of the churchyard late at night, and she's digging a grave. Well, you suppose she could always be digging a hole for the sake of it, but her work seems much too precise for this to be the result of a mere whimsy. It is hard for you to see her face, given the distance between the pair of you, but her posture is one that speaks of supreme concentration. She moves slowly, mechanically, like a woman on a mission, driving the end of her shovel into the earth over and over. Her motion are regular enough to be repetitive. It's probably per job, digging grave at night. You know? For whom that's remained to be seen. There's something hypnotic, almost, in the manner in which she attends this task. Should you risk interrupting her? Do you dare? You get the feeling that she would not appreciate it. The shovel in her hand, meanwhile, is rather hefty. If she wishes it, she could cause you no small amount of damage with it. Cold anxiety make your skin prickle. You do not know if you should risk speaking to her when she, in her dark cloak with her shovel, looks so very strange. But what do you have left to lose? You have come this far. It would be folly to turn back now. It is with this thought in your mind that you decide to approach the strange girl. Your footsteps are quiet. You have grown accustomed to slinking around like a cat, but they are not quiet enough. The girl's sense must be finely tuned because she blinks. Then she turns. Your eyes met, and once they do, you feel your breath catch in your throat. You did not have a clear view of the girl before, concealed as you were in the shadows, but now she looking at you. You can tell that she is pretty. Are you sure this is the right time? Her skin is very smooth and her hair, though obscured by a dark hood, is very fair. Her eyes, meanwhile, are clear, cool blue, like ice. Those eyes of hers, which are large with unease, are fringed with very long, fair eyelashes. She looks as though she has stepped out the pages of a picture book. hello, this is like middle of the night. She's digging a grave. I don't know if it's her job or she's a serial killer. Could be anything. You don't need to describe her as pretty instantly. She is simply too perfect to belong to this world. Now I wonder who's the Yandere. Perhaps she's some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination? But no, she is none of those things. The shovel she's clutching in her hand looks solid enough, its pointed tip glittering wickedly in the moonlight. You steel yourself, expecting perhaps some sort of outburst. But the tension soon drains from the girl's slender shoulders. Her fingers, which once were gripping the handle of her shovel tightly, relax. Her lips curve upward at the edges. She is smiling, and what a smile it is. It is transformative. When she smiles, she looks radiant, angelic almost. Hers is a smile that is so suffused with light that your eyes begin to prickle from it. You are so relieved you almost feel as if you could cry. It would not be the first time you have wept during this night, and neither would it be too surprising if you did. You have been through a lot. You must be exhausted. The girl holding the shovel seems to realize this, because she bridged the distance between you cautiously, as one might approach a skittish cat. Then she says, in a rough voice which does not match her dainty appearance, while she does live in a rural village, what were you expecting? Oh, it's so good to see another person. I was afraid I was the only person left alive, the only one in the whole world. Actually, I don't think I'm saying that right. Let me try again. Oh, it's so good to see another person. I was afraid I was the only person left alive, the only one in the whole world. Now, this is quite the effusive greeting. Her introductory speech is riddled with exclamation marks. She is rather more personable than her apparel would make one suggest. You, a well-bred young lady, cannot help but feel overwhelmed. It is your turn now to be on your guard. Anxiously, you observe the girl with the shovel and you ask her what she means. What happened? Oh, you do not know. There's an awful lot you do not know, so in fact, it would feel a whole encyclopedia. No, a whole library. You shake your head, ashamed of your ignorance, and the girl frowns. You mustn't be from around this part. I knew. I guess I should have known. This village is a small one, and everyone knows everyone, and everybody knows everybody else. The girl's expression falls. At least, they used to, back when there were still people to know. That ain't the case now, though. Not after the plague. There was a plague. That would certainly explain why the village, when you walked through it, was so quiet. Did everybody else succumb to this mysterious illness? That's right. It's just me here now. I have not seen another human being in a long, long time. It gets so lonely here. Now, that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the girl takes a step toward you. Oh, but where are my manners? The mask's gone rusty after being on my own for so long. My apologies, miss. You look like you've come a long way. You say you are a traveler, yes? And your hands are very cold, just like ice. Would you like to come inside? Maybe something warm to eat and to drink? My home's small, I'm afraid, and my food ain't nothing fancy, but I'd be more than willing to share. It's not every day another girl stop by, especially not one as pretty as yourself. I'm feeling very blessed. The girls laugh, a carefree, airy sort of laugh which does not match your initial impression of her. You thought, when you saw her among the graves, that she would be more distant, somehow, and more mysterious. Perhaps you are mixing her up with somebody else. You're still unsure if you can trust this girl, but her invitation is an appealing one. It is much more appealing, certainly, than spending the night outdoors, in the cold, keeping on the graves. What are you, a romantic poet? Please. You make a show of pondering the girl's invitation. At the very least, you do not want to appear too eager, but your acquiescence is, alas, an inevitability. An inevitability. Why would you ever refuse her? She is the first friendly face you have seen all night. Without her, you would be all alone. Your hostess leads you to a small, humble home located but a stone throw away from the church, built in the shadow of a twisted, towering sycamore. Can I say that it gets so lonely here? She literally say that, and I'm just like, is this the red flag line for every Yandere in this game? Like, is this it? Is the sign? Is this the sign? The girl's home is in such a state it seems folly to even call it a home. Hovel would, to you, be the more appropriate descriptor. But when your hostess leads you inside, her eyes alive, and she says, here we are, home sweet home. You don't have the heart to tell her that you don't find her home very homey or very sweet. That would be incredibly rude. As a guest, you ought to be more appreciative. Half-heartedly, you look around your newfound surroundings. The ceiling is supported by wooden joists and is perishly low. Not so much that you're in danger of bumping your head, but just enough to feel claustrophobic. There's a fire in the corner that is not consigned to a grate. The fire instead is blazing in the open, a circle of logs set alight like a scene from a witch kitchen. Above the fire hangs a silvery pot, suspended from one of the wooden eaves. Other objects of interest are hung from the eaves. Iron implements you take to be cooking utensils, various herbs, and strips of meat left to cure. The smell of cooking fills the air, mingle with the sharp, sour scent of unwashed bodies. Yeah. Okay. So y'all stinky. How, you wonder, does your hostess clean herself? You do not see a bathtub anywhere. Perhaps she does not possess one. The girl's home is unremarkable in every regard, but it is, you suppose, better than nothing. And you're not going to be attacked by wild animals, that's for sure. At least there's a roof over your head and food to put in your belly. The girl looks to the pot suspended over the fire, which she gives a stir with the ladle. Then she brings the ladle to her lips to taste whatever concoction she has brewing within it. You can only hope that she's not like the weird sisters from that famous play, brewing a broth with fenny snake fillets. Yes, I think this is just about done, the girl says to nobody in particular. She sets the ladle down back into the pot, then looks to you and smiles. Do you want something? It looks as though you come quite a long way, and you must be hungry. These words are like music to your ears, even more divine than the trumpet of God's most loyal angels. You are so hungry you could eat a horse. Not that there are any horses in the immediate vicinity. You express your interest to your hostess, who smiles in response. I thought you liked the sound of that. Just give me a few moments. Your hostess retrieved 2 earthenware bowls from the cupboard with rickety hinges, into which she pours 2 hefty helping of whatever it is she's cooking. This she serves with bread, which is so hefty it could be used as a murder weapon. Well, I hope you can digest that. Consider how hungry you are. I'm sure you can. It's not much, I'm afraid. It's only soup and bread. It should take the edge off your appetite, though. You thank your hostess for her hospitality, your stomach rumbling all the while. The soup does not look like anything you typically consume, but the soup's poor presentation does not dissuade you. It is true enough that people eat first with their eyes, but when one's hungry enough, one becomes obliging enough to eat almost anything. Why else do you think that people, when stranded upon desert islands, will resort to cannibalism? I have a bad feeling about this. Why are you talking about cannibalism? Why? That's a red flag. I'm sorry, that's a red flag. Humans are creatures of necessity. You like to wrap yourself up in pretensions, but in actuality, you are not much better than animals. You're so hungry, your stomach is achingly empty, that you certainly descend upon your food like an animal. Your teeth glint, your incisors gleam, and soon you have consumed all that your hostess has offered you. Your hostess watches while you eat, and she giggles once you have finished. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? Oh. You catch your hostess' gaze, slightly abashed. You were so hungry you failed to account for her judgment. Now you have some food in your belly, though, and you have been suitably warm. Your old self-consciousness is returning. Did you not make a fool of yourself? You demur shyly, looking at your lap, fearful the while of what your hostess might think of you. You do not want her to take against you. Fortunately for you, however, and for your fragile ego, your hostess is not the judgmental sort. She's not like the girls you grew up with. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. It's nice to see my food being appreciated so heartily. I know I'm not the best, but I've been practicing for a long while. I used to cook for my father all the time, you see. This remark catches your attention. Quizzically, you look at your hostess, your abashment over your animalistic eating habits suspended. What happened to her father? It seems a grim thing to contemplate after having eaten, but didn't your hostess mention something about a plague? Yes, your hostess say, her voice soft now and serious. That's right. There was a plague. And what's of the villager? What of her father? They all gone now. Gone? Yes. You see, your hostess rearranged herself upon her chair, one slender leg folded over the other. Then she begins her tale in earnest. My family has a history. We've lived here for centuries by the church, so as we can tend to the graveyard. Ah, so this abode is centuries old then. It will certainly explain the dirt. My father used to prepare bodies for burial. Back when he was alive, he built the coffin, and he dug the graves, and he lowered the coffin into the dirt. I know it might sound like an awful job, but somebody's got to do it. There's no sense averting our eyes from death. not when it happens to the best of us. It is a noble profession, one that's been handed down in our family for generations. My father's father was a gravedigger, and so was my father's father's father, and my father's 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 father. Digging graves is in our blood. It's who we are. My. That was a surprisingly pretty speech, coming from a girl who lives in the countryside. A girl who is without much in the way of education. It is apparent, just to listen to her, and the way she slurs her syllable together, that she has never had any elocution lessons. Not like you. Well, okay. Okay, girlie. There's determination, however, to her, and a pride in her genealogy which give her a respectable aura. You cannot help but be impressed. So, you asked your hostess, does that make her one in a long line of gravediggers? Yes, your hostess, the gravedigger, said. That's about right, though I was never supposed to be a gravedigger myself. It's not a woman's profession. That's what everybody says. My father didn't mind that, though. He taught me everything he knew, and then some. I might be a woman, but I have plenty of upper body strength. I can dig a grave just as well as my father could, without breaking a sweat. To the despair of my mother in heaven, I'm sure if she were still alive, she'd rather I focus on more feminine pursuit, like basket weaving or sewing, to better attract a suitor. Not that would do much good now. There's nobody around who'd court me. Not for miles and miles. And what happened to her mother? She died when I was very young, during childbirth. I was only 5 years old. Oh, wow. You can relate to her, at least upon this point. Your parents are not dead, at least not as far as you are aware, but you have not seen them in an awfully long time. They sent you away as soon as you were old enough, and they never once bothered to check up on you. For many years, there have been no letters, nor any visits. You offer the gravedigger your condolences. You do not know if they will help, but you feel like you cannot say nothing. That would seem heartless. The gravedigger, however, does not seem too upset by this turn of event, because she smiles, albeit somberly. It's all right. It was ages ago. I don't remember her too well, and I've never really had the luxury of sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I had too much work to do. Around the house, you ask? That, too. I was the oldest child, so it was my job after my mother died to manage the sweeping and the cooking, and looking after all my siblings, too. You blink, intrigued, then glance about your hostess' humble lodging. You do not see any siblings in the immediate vicinity. Where could they be? The gravedigger must have noticed your roving eye. You're not being exactly subtle, because she shakes her head. I had siblings, 2 younger brothers. They're both gone now. Oh, you should have known. You apologize to the gravedigger for your lack of tact, but she does not seem upset by this faux pas. Don't apologize. It's not your fault. My brother weren't long for this world anyway. The youngest, he died when he was still a babe, and the oldest, he died before he reached double digits. I was upset about it at the time, of course, but I've come to terms with it. Life's a fleeting thing in this wicked old world. That's something you learn in this trade. Digging graves, I mean. I've dug graves for the elderly and the infirm, but I also dug graves for young babes still in their swaddling clothes. That's the nature of death. It comes for all of us in the end, no matter how old we are, no matter how much money we have, no matter how good or bad we've been. It's the great equalizer. Or so I've heard. A chill creeps down your spine as you listen to your hostess' speech. She's not wrong, but the inherent mortality of all humankind is not something you wish to contemplate. It is too disturbing. For the longest time, my family was a small one. It was just my father and me, but that was fine. It was how I liked it. I was very happy, even if our lives weren't the best. I've never had any fancy clothes to wear, and we can't dine on the finest of food. In the grand scheme of things, we ain't anything that special, but I've always felt otherwise. I thought that I was blessed. We knew hardship, of course, and famine, but that's just the way life is around here. When food supplies were low, we always helped one another out. I had my father, but I also had the rest of the village. We all looked after one another, and things always worked out in the end. At least, they did. Until the plague happened. Yes, she had mentioned the plague. You have been wondering when she was going to return to that topic. You suppose that the plague is the reason that the village, as you traverse it, was so very empty. You suppose right. The plague tore through the village. I don't remember when. It feels like it was a while ago, but maybe it wasn't all that long after all. It feels like I've been on my own for centuries, but your hostess' eyes begin to cloud over. She looks as though she's entrenched within her own memories. What could she be remembering? You have never seen a plague before, though you have heard of them in your history lessons. Your history professor was quite enthusiastic about the subject. She talked about piles of dead bodies stacked up on the street and stacked up in the wooden cart come to take them away. With no shortage of aplomb. She was a strange woman, your history professor. The plague came on very suddenly. There was no warning. One day, everyone was fine, and the next, they were all dead. It is with no small amount of anxiety that you eye the gravedigger. Then you ask worriedly, surely they could not all have died? Is that not an exaggeration? Oh, if only. I wish I was exaggerating. But it's the truth, honest to God. The people in the village die, one after another, just like that. I saw what that plague does to people firsthand. My father was one of the first people who caught it. I think one of the bodies which came through that we bury must have had it. Not that I know for certain. I'm just guessing, still. My father didn't have any easy time of it. His skin turned all gray and clammy, and he complained of a horrible fever. There were night sweat and stomach cramp. And then there were the boils. The boils? Pustules. They were the size of eggs, and there were 4 pus. When they burst, it stung. The whole house was full of it. The stinks of death. The wise woman of the village came to see if she could be of any use, but it was no good. My father was too far gone already. She took one look at him lying on his deathbed, and she shook her head. She said she didn't want to get any closer. I can't say I blame her. It was a ghastly sight. I didn't appreciate it at the time, though. I felt like she was turning her back on us. I wish her ill. I remember that after she left. Until a few days passed and she fell sick too. Then I felt bad for cursing her. I couldn't help but worry if it was all my fault. It's silly, I know, but... The gravedigger closed her eyes. She seemed to squeeze her lid together until her lash melted like flakes of fallen snow. Her shoulders, which are very slender, are shaking. She looks as though she might at any moment fall apart. It wasn't long after that the rest of the village fell ill. They all had the same symptom as my father: the clammy skin and the fever and the boils. The boils grew and they burst, and then they died in screaming, stinking agony. My father died too, only 3 days after he fell ill, but I think even that was 3 days too many. I didn't want my father to die, of course. I did everything I could do to help him, but it was all pointless. None of my herbal salves had any impact. I couldn't make a blind bit of difference. All I did was stand about his bedside, telling him he'll be all right, until his eyes sunk into his skull like two black stones and his mouth dried up. During the last day before he died, he might have been a corpse already. He didn't look at me. He didn't speak to me. He just lay in bed with his eyes closed, groaning. I never wished any ill on my father before, but during those moments, The gravedigger squeezed her hand, which was resting upon her black-clad lap, into fists. She trembles. Then, in a voice throbbing with awful emotion, she says, "I wish he'd just die." Well, based on her anecdote, it does not sound like she had an overly long way to wait. I wonder if she would consider that a silver lining. No, perhaps not. The gravedigger is still shaking. She will not cry, will she? You hope not. I was to say, the MC is like, I could care less. I don't know. I don't know shit. 1 second. I ran out of water. I will be back with more hydration. Hydration acquired. I hope folks are enjoying the story so far. I tried to do narration, but I enjoy narration a lot. It just, my mouth run dry so fast. So yeah, this will make a very nice like bot rewatch, however. And this is very, so far there's not a lot of options to go with, but I don't particularly mind. I kind of want to see what the makers is cooking. Some of them doesn't have to be like complete dating sim options, so, and this is more of a visual novel, so we'll see which route we get. Alrighty. I got my stuff, my water. Should I get a snack? I'll be right back with a snack. I return with some Milano mint chocolate. They've been sitting in my cupboard for a bit. I kind of want to eat them before they go completely stale. I would not take comments regarding mint chocolate. They're good. Alright. Enough crunching and munching. Let's get back to this. Like I said, MC is kind of like while I'm here, but also, just a little nosy. And kind of, I guess, lacking in common sense. I think she worry too much about her demeanors. Back to this. You hope not. Awkwardly, you look at the gravedigger. You're not sure how to soothe her, but you know you must make some sort of an effort, even if it's a token one. You shift upon your chair, which feel very cold and hard beneath your thigh. Then you say very softly that you are sorry. It is not much, but it is all you can think of saying. You had thought, initially, that your situation was comparable to that of a gravedigger, but now you can see that this is not the case. Her suffering has far outstripped your own. Not that suffering is a competition, of course. Your apology feels inadequate to your ears, largely because it is, but the gravedigger seems not to mind it. She's very big-hearted, that girl, to smile you so, no matter how foolish you may be. Do you really deserve such kindness? Again with the again with the apologies. It's all right, like I said, you didn't cause any of this. I'm not upset at you. I'm just recounting what happened. It's all. I do wonder, though, why I never felt sick myself. I thought I was going to die, so I already prepared for the Reaper to come and take me away. But maybe he wasn't interested. Maybe he already satiated his appetite on all the others. Or maybe he thought he had to leave me alive for practicality's sake. With my father gone, who else would tend to the dead? I was the only person left by the end of it all, so I had to bury the people in the village. They're all resting peacefully now under the earth, where the plague can't reach them. On one hand, I'm happy for them. They were able to escape from all this suffering. When I think about all the people I've lost, though, the gravedigger tenses. Then she sniffs. When I think about all the kindly washerwomen who helped me scrub the mud and the dirt from my clothes. Aha! So this village did have its fair share of washerwomen after all. It would seem your earlier insistence upon this particular point was not without merit. And the handsome young farmhands who used to flirt with me. The priests who preach at the church, who told us wonderful tales of paradise, and the children who skip stone on the lake and play hopscotch in the street. I can't help but feel so lonely. The gravedigger's eye began to shine once she had finished her address with tears, but she does not let them fall. She's being very brave, much more so than you are. Anxiously, you extend a hand toward her, meaning to, what? Give her a hug? You do not know her well enough. Pat her head? That would be infantilizing. Squeeze her hand? Perhaps that could be misconstrued as romantic overture, and that is the last thing you want. You endure more than your fair share of teasing over that. You sit there for a few moments, paralyzed by indecision as the gravedigger poorly suppresses her sniffles. In the end, you let your arms drop back to your side. Your hand rests upon your lap, as useful as damp kindling. You do not know what to do with it. You do know that you ought to say something, though, to show that you heard her plight and that you care. You do not know what this something should be, however. No word could ever console the gravedigger. They would never be enough. They can offer some balm, however, to the bereaved, and so after a pause just long enough to be awkward, You offer your condolences. What else can you say? Oh, no, the gravedigger replies, wiping away a few stray tears away with the back of her arms. It's all right. I've grown used to it, really. Being on my own, I mean. It ain't so bad, really. And I'm not alone now, at least. I've met you. You'll keep me company, won't you? Well, what can you say to that? You aren't callous enough to trample this poor girl's hope, are you? You know full well yourself how awful that feels. You can do nothing but nods, a response which makes the girl smile more widely still. That's wonderful. I know you're just a traveler who's passing through, but I can offer you bread and board until you leave. I have food enough and a spare bedroom. I can make it up for you right now. You must be tired after your long journey. Just give me a moment. The gravedigger rises to her feet in a flurry of excitement, then retreats. You watch as she departs, a little too eager to please, and frown. The girl's home is small, humble one with low ceiling and slanted walls. You cannot imagine such a small dwelling possessive of a spare bedroom. This so-called spare bedroom is, in all likelihood, the room her father slept in before the plague carried him off. You do not think that you would like to spend the night in the room of a dead man, but what choice do you have? You are tired, wretchedly so. Why, is it all you can do to keep your eyes open? While you were running through the forest, desperate to escape your pursuer, you had no thought in mind beyond finding some safe sanctuary in which you could recuperate. Now that you have found said sanctuary, it will be unreasonable to find faults with it. You ought to learn to be more thankful for what you have. There are many people in the world with less. Shush. You rise and follow the gravedigger. Once she has finished her preparation to her so-called spare bedroom, which is every bit as cramped as you fear it would be. At least there's a bed, which comes as something of a relief. The rest of this lodging is so humble you were half expecting a straw pallet. As tired as you might be, you cannot lie to yourself. You have no desire to sleep among the hay like an animal. The sheets of the bed are clean too. In fact, you discern with a cursory glance. So, you will not be expected to sleep upon the sweat-soaked linen of a plague-ridden man after all. This really is your lucky day. I got you this too, the gravedigger says somewhat shyly as she hands you a folded gown. To sleep in. I thought it might come in handy. Your own clothes are, a little shabby. She can say that again. Your skirt is covered in mud and hem is torn and ragged. This nightgown is one of my old ones, so it suffered a bit of wear and tear. But I hope it'll fit all right. It's clean, if nothing else. You accept the nightgown from your benefactress with words of thanks. You want to sound appropriately appreciative, but you cannot mask your fatigue. Weariness overcomes you and you yawn, a fact the gravedigger does not fail to notice. Oh, begging your pardon, I don't want to keep you. I'll be making myself scarce. If you need anything, though, don't hesitate to ask. I'll be happy to help. The gravedigger bows her head to you like a drudge, then hurries off, closing the door behind her with a thud. Tired though you are, you soon find that you rather miss your hostess' company. In the face of her good-natured smiles, you could almost forget all the hardship you have hitherto endured. In her absence, however, your lodging feels almost unbearably cold and inhospitable. You suppress a shudder, then unclothe yourself. You work as quick as you are able, but your fingers are cold and they fumble with the buttons of your blouse. It takes you more time than you would like to complete this endeavor, but you soon have your shirt and your skirt dispensed with. You are too tired to fold them neatly, so you do not bother to fold them at all. Instead, you cast them carelessly upon the floor, as defiant as a sulky child, then pull on your new nightgown. Wait, that's what I do when I go to sleep. Okay, I put them away later, when I remember. Your hostess' earlier warning were apt enough. It is quite worn, but it fits well enough. It is more comfortable at least than your old uniform. You have endured worse. Newly dressed and ready for bed, you loosen your hair from your braid and settle down amongst the sheets. It is with a sigh you extinguish the weakly flickering candlelight which burns on your bedside, and with another sigh that you lay your head down upon your pillow. Though physically exhausted, you have to wonder whether you will be able to sleep at all. You can recall your previous dash through the forest in such vivid detail your heart is still pounding. That fear has yet to leave you. Perhaps it will never leave you. Your terror was such, it almost feels though it has suffused itself into your bones, into your very being. But your exhaustion is greater than your worldly anxieties, and soon it claims you. Your eyelids fall shut, and your breathing inevitably begins to even out. It is not long until you're spiraling through a dark, deep abyss, lost in Morpheus' kingdom. Nice line. Morpheus' kingdom. That's a good reference. But your sleep, despite your weary state, is not as restorative as you had hoped. Your imagination has always been overactive. Even at the conservatoire, you were frequently beset by dreams of most vivid nature. The dreams that you had this night, lying beneath unfamiliar sheets upon an unfamiliar bed, are no less intense than usual. In your dreams, you are back at the conservatoire, the place where this adventure of yours began. You're wearing the crisp white blouse you once discarded and your gray, unremarkable skirt. Your hair is tied in braids, and your eyes are downturned, forever focused upon your feet. You try not to look at your classmate, and you thought yourself fortunate if they did not look at you in return. You did not want anybody to notice you. Until that awful winter, that is, where everybody stopped paying attention to you for good. Nobody tried to trip you when you walked past them in the hallways. Nobody, in fact, so much as glanced at you. All of a sudden, there were no malicious whisper, no wicked laughter, no pulled hair, and no thrown objects. You were giddy with relief at first over this newfound means of tormenting you that your classmate had devised. But this little game, that of complete and utter disregard, continued on and on and on and on as the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer. As the time passed, you began to fret as to the state of your own corporeality. Could anybody still see you? Did you even exist at all? Then, at long last, you found it, quite by accident, the source of all your woes. One of the girls had erected it in the forest through which you were sometimes bidden to jog for PE class, beneath the shade cast by an old oak tree. It was a makeshift tombstone, a small, meager monument made of stone, upon which one of your classmates had hewn a name. Your name. You knew at once as you stood there, standing beneath the shade of that ancient tree, that this was the reason behind your classmate's silence. Oh, well, she died. This was why they had for many months been ignoring you so assiduously. They had buried you. In their heart, you had already died. Wait, did she actually die, or they just treat you like you're dead? Oh, so they just treat her like she's dead, right? Your eerie dream notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you had anticipated. When you awake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. Your head is aching. It is nothing, however, that a hot cup of tea cannot fix. That squeaky noise almost made me jump a little bit, not gonna lie. You stumble into the kitchen in your night clothes, your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you. She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark, and exclaims, in the manner of one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them. Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink, and maybe you need something to eat too. Let me get started on breakfast. And that is exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proved to be quite the simple affair. Nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on, and the cheese is a bit too strong. Is it food all the same though, and you do not complain. Your stomach was beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive at least, and you drink it gratefully. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles as you return. A sunny smile, like a field of blooming bellflowers. You know, bellflowers mean it's a funeral flowers. Yeah, that's just her color scheme. It's no problem. It's no problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else, she said, words which come to symbolize your relationship. You stay with the gravediggers for many, many more days, and limited through her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger set you chores about the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you're grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You can almost forget about it now, during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you. The sound of your feet against the foliage and the swirling fog. When you sleep, you are assailed by nightmares. Sometimes you awake after midnight, the sheet twisted around your body and your mouth gaping open in a paroxysm of terror. Though you try to tell yourself otherwise, you are still afraid. Being with a gravedigger makes you feel less so, though, particularly when you are sweeping the floor or keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they do not burn. You attend to most of the domestic chores, while the gravedigger concerns herself with the work she knows best, that is, digging graves. Her dogged persistence when it comes to this pursuit intrigues you, so much so that you cannot help but posit a question to her on one particular morning, when the sky is festooned with clouds. Why, you ask her, perhaps a touch insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There's nobody left, after all, to dig them for. You have always been practical, and you cannot see the point in it. What's the point in it? The gravedigger ponders while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question, despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky. Her temperament is so very placid. I don't suppose there is any point to it, really, the gravedigger eventually say with a small smile. I know it doesn't have any practical purpose, but, well, digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted to keep our family tradition going. And I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all? Is it? You think you can understand that? Though your companion action might appear to be illogical, there's a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose. She does it, instead, out of sentiment. Sighed. I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spent my day idling on my own, I think I'd go mad. The gravedigger laughed at this as though the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you, perhaps unkindly, to the braying of a horse. Hey! That's not very nice. It's not very nice at all. You are ashamed of thinking such a thing, though, and your face flushes with the guilt of it. We cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know. Come on. That's some private school ideology stuff. Still, the laughter of the gravedigger as it echoes through the gray, gloomy sky is strangely desperate. It sounds false. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural. The wrinkled grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempt to return her laughter with a polite giggle, that you cannot help but pity her. You retreat indoor briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and the preparing of the meals, a task which takes slightly longer. We don't know. I think it's the shovel maiden. I think it's the gravedigger maiden who's probably is the Yandere here, because her entire village just died. And she's the last remaining person, so... yeah. Probably. It is not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoor. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there's dirt caked beneath her fingernails. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, then looks to the pot suspended over the fire, a fire which you stoke with your own fair hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onion, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen in a homey aroma which makes your stomach rumble. Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you, a toothy smile which, despite her status as a lowly peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to find dinner already prepared. Now, let me give it a test. The gravedigger dips a spoon into the soup, then brings it to her lips. She blows upon it. Then she places a spoon into her mouth, the wooden utensil clacking against her teeth. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the food which you have prepared for her? You have cooked for her before in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your effort. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never had to concern yourself with it, really, growing up in relative comfort as you did. You think that you enjoy this rural, rustic mode of existence more than you did any of the privilege of your past life. At least now, with the gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally. When you're with her, you're not alone, and that is worth its weight in gold. The gravedigger exclaimed after drawing the spoon from her lips, her smile a bright, guileless one. It's delicious. Your face flushed at this compliment. You're unaccustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. Shyly, you ask the gravedigger if she truly means it, a query which makes the gravedigger smile. Of course I mean it. You become quite good at cooking, really. That is a relief. You were not very good at all of this cooking malarkey in the beginning. You did not know how to handle a knife, nor how to peel a vegetable, and you cut yourself more than once. You bled into the soup on several occasions, but never once did you throw this silly soup out. The gravedigger lives a humble existence, and she cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. Wait, so the soup have your blood in it? Well, okay, that's interesting. Your soup during your stay have all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron. Today's soup, however, it's a marked step above the rest. You did not cut yourself with a knife even once. Maybe your companion's compliments are not empty fluff. Maybe you really are improving. This soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread too that we can eat with it. But I should brew some tea too. Let me. Ah yes, the tea. You knew that you were forgetting something. You were so focused on the soup, it must have slipped your mind. Your face flushes yet again at this oversight, and shyly, you offer to correct it. The gravedigger, however, waves your request aside. No, it's all right. You make the dinner, so I brew the tea. It's only fair, and it won't take all that long. Would you mind serving up the soup while I'm busy? Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. For a lady, you are awfully domestic. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it, soup and bread, alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea prepared by your hostess' own 2 hands. You sit together at the table, then partake in this simple fare after saying grace. The soup really is quite good, despite being made from only the most commonplace of ingredients. There's a bit of a kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing, so much so it makes you feel rather sleepy. You would like to sit with a gravedigger for a little while longer and tell stories, as you have sometime in the past, or play cards. The nights are long, and there is no better way to pass them than spending time with her. Game of old maids, alas, will have to wait. You're too tired for it. You do not know what has happened, but after consuming your victuals, you feel utterly fatigued. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your yawns, and she nods in response. That's all right. You don't need to stay up with me. Not if you ain't up to it. You should head up to bed and rest that pretty head of yours. You do not think you are particularly pretty, but you presume that's the gravedigger just regurgitating a phrase to you. She does not truly mean it. How could she? She's far prettier than you are. You thank the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. Simp. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs, then change out of your clothes. You have only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door, light and unobtrusive. This rapping could, of course, belong to but one person. It is the gravedigger coming to check up on you. I'm sorry, the gravedigger said, her voice soft, but you rushed to your room so soon after eating, I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're all right. The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it's wavering regardless. She really does sound concerned, so much so she could very well be on the brink of tears. You do not want her to cry for you. You would feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even inadvertently, given all that she has done for you. You bid the gravedigger entry into your room, therefore, without further delay, an invitation she hastened to take. The doors swing inward with a creak, and there your hostess stands, still attired in black, her clothes a stark contrast to your pure white, well, off-white nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you, seated in bed with your hair freed from your usual braid, and exhales. Is that relief, you wonder, playing about her face? But why? What was she expecting to see exactly before entering your bedchamber? Thank you for letting me in, the gravedigger said, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Not too terrible, you reassure her. There's no particular problem with your health. You just feel tired. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. That would be nothing off the norm. You're always pale. True. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink? Or maybe a hot brick to place in your bed? It should keep you warm. You appreciate your hostess' thoughtfulness, but you reassure her that this won't be necessary. You will be fine. I hope so. I thought that about my father too before he... The gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought. She does not need to. You know now what she was thinking of before she entered your bedroom. Cold, clammy skin, a sweating brow, rank, oozing pustules. You think upon the symptoms which are eerily similar to those recounted during the Great Plague which once beset your own country, and you shudder. If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says. But before that... This was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, would you mind if I brush your hair for a little while? Your hair? That's right. It's such a pretty shade of red, is all. I just thought. Well, it's just a fancy, really. You don't have to let me, not if you don't want to, but I thought it might help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I heard it's supposed to be soothing. That's what the gravedigger says, but you have a distinct feeling that she's the one looking for solace here. She's not quite so selfless, perhaps, as she would like you to think. But she has been so very good to you, and has done so very much for you, that you do not want to begrudge her this small self-indulgence. You rather think she deserves it. You agree, therefore, to add to her request. And upon doing so, you are certain you have made the right choice. Your hostess' face light up immediately in a manner which make you blush. Oh, thank you. It'll be my honor. Now let me fetch my brush. The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter, holding in her right hand the promised brush. This artifact acquired, the gravedigger then settles herself upon your bed by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression pensive. Then she announced that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melds with the sighing of the breeze outdoor. You can feel the bristle of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, so much so it makes you shiver. The sensation is a pleasant one, and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, you wonder, when you were a little girl? If she did, it must have been when you were a very little girl. You have not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled at the conservatoire. Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft, just like silk, not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscence. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own, because her voice, when next she speaks, is dreamy. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this for me back when she was still alive. That must have been a long time ago, though. It is funny, you think, as the bristle of the brush continued to slide through your tresses, that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing, in tandem, about your respective mothers. Perhaps there is something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is wont to summon forth such image. I would not know, personally. I cannot remember my own mother at all. I don't think I like having my hair brushed very much, the gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape of your neck. My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much. I can remember that. She always told me to sit still, though it wasn't my fault I squirmed. She used too much force. Now this is curious. It sounds as though the remnants of the gravedigger are not particularly fond after all. Did she not get along well with her mother? I can't rightly say, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I really don't remember her too well. But I don't think she ever had that much time for me. She was too busy with all the cooking and the cleaning, and looking after my baby brothers. But she had time enough, despite that, to brush your hair. She did what she felt she had to make me look presentable. Not that I really work. I wasn't like the other girls in the village, you see, who like to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I always loved the outdoors. My father say I inherited that from him. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled, not that you can see it with your back facing her. My mother said I wasn't very, maidenly. She didn't like that I was traipse around outside after my father, watching as he dug graves. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of a princess wearing a fine dress. The gravedigger snorts. I used to get a bit muddy, yes. Maybe I did get burrs in my clothes and knots in my hair, but it shouldn't have mattered. It's not like I ever had any hope of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said. But still, she hoped. She had lots of hope, my mother. High hopes. I think she might have resented my father, maybe, for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it's never made much money. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses and... I don't know. She always had ideas. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. I feel that. The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable, so much so you want to console her. What would you say to her, though? You never met your companion's mother. You never will either. Her cold, inert body has been lying in the graveyard, buried beneath a tombstone, for over a decade. You have no way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought out condolences can cause more harm than good. You would not like it if people trying to reassure you that of course your father loved you really. If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Why did he never send you any letters? You know he was worried about his finances, but that seems a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter did not exist. As for your own mother, meanwhile, she was nice, at least you think she was, but she was woefully ineffectual. Though she was nominally an adult, she was clear before your father's judgment. You think that she was afraid of him. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would have not given birth to her. Instead, you sit there, letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Well, the gravedigger say after a pause, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I guess it happens to all of us. You guess so. Parents are only people after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to caprices of their own. Just because one has brought a child into this world does not mean one will be able to take care of it properly. Not all parents are responsible, and not all people are responsible. It is a painful subject. Oh well, it's alright if my mother never liked me, or even she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He was always there for me, no matter what. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. She winces. At least, until he wasn't. He died, and I didn't do a thing to help him. Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling off in waves. It is all consuming, like the water of a deep, dark ocean. Grief anew pierced your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This you have no qualm with telling her. You turn to face her and pluck the brush, which had been hovering in the air inert, from her fingers. Then you let her know that her father's death was not her fault. What could she have done? She could not have cured his illness. I know, but I can't help but think, what if? I keep racking my head over and over, trying to come up with something. But I can't think of anything. And even if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I bury him. And now I'm all alone. She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger. But she isn't now. Not anymore. No, you can't trigger the Yandere catchphrase. No. How can she be when you're there? Girl, you're gonna be so lost. I know that. I know, and I'm grateful. But I don't know if I deserve it. Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand. Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. My father always looked out for me when I was a little girl, but when he needed me the most, I failed him. I failed everyone. All the villagers, all my friends, all died. What would I do if the same thing happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. I don't want you getting sick too. Not when I care about you so much. I thought I'd gotten used to being on my own, but now you're here. It's making me worry over again. I've been worried so much I can't sleep from it. I'm scared. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. She leans forward, her arms wound about her middle, as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries, and she cries, and she cries. For a few moments, you look at the gravedigger, unsure what to do. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tears, seemed to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulder, which seemed too slender to bear the cumulative weight of all the sorrow she has endured, are shaking. Your fatigue continues to cling to you, as insistent as the fog which rolls amongst the tombstone in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however. You cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what you can say to console her. You feel too weary to think of pretty sophism. But there is something you can think of. You would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to throw caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting. Aw, I got to be a good Samaritan. You open your arms, and before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her into your chest. Oh, a soft exclamation escaped the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushed the ground. Then, there is nothing. The gravedigger is stiff in your arm for a few moments, like the corpse she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She is all wide-eyed and awkward, pointed elbow, tears still coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly as you hold her that you have perhaps made a mistake. Were your attempt at consoling her too clumsy? You would not know. You have never been in a situation like this before. You have never consoled any friends before because you have never had any friends to console. It is not so now, however. You are far away from your old life as possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your imprudence. Okay, you know what? Maybe this is a good route. Maybe it's not. This is not the Yandere route. Maybe it's a good one, right? Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue, cradle in your arms. Oh, I'm very sorry to show you something so embarrassing. It just, I get so lonely sometimes. Until at long last, with a breathy sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against yours. You run your hands against your sobbing companion's shoulder blades in her back, and gently you soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There's no shame in crying. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of your nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, but they do not need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheet, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for permission. It would be an unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance is all but assured. You have already accepted the gravedigger after all, every single inch of her. You have accepted her hospitality, you accepted her food, now you are accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body to yours. The gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes come the following morning, her head resting against your chest. Oh, that's actually very nice. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There's no concept of time between the two of you, no thought of day which would dawn once this night inevitably ends. Instead, there's only the warmth shared between you and the wetness on the cheek of the gravedigger. There's a sound, irregular now and less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There's this gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep, dark night which can never be replaced. Your eyelids feel heavy as though weighted down with stones. They droop inexorably downward, pulling you like a drowning maiden into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, cozy up beside a gravedigger like two cats in a basket. You sleep and you sleep and you sleep more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some times. But when you awake, you find that you're no longer in the bed upon which you slept in, shrouded by sheets. Uh-oh. The gravedigger, too, is nowhere to be seen. Instead, you're quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. You blink, but your surroundings do not become any clearer. Is it the middle of the night? Perhaps you were roused from your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself, or else slake your thirst. Your sleep had been awfully disordered as of late, and the smallest of noise had been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite right, though. You slept well, of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated, as though you have slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You do not know much of anything. You can feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. It would appear as though somebody, but who else could have been save the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping. That is a startling thought, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. Why are you using the word entombs? That does not sound good. That does not sound okay. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound woe does not stop, however, at this deep, unnatural darkness. It is cold too, and you are relying upon something hard. Some sort of stone slab? What is going on? You reach out, but your movements are soon stymied. There's something heavy lying atop you, something that's limiting your movement. You were anxious before upon awaking, But at this discovery, you feel downright aggrieved. A sharp prong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations even worse. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as best as you can, though it is coming on thick and fast, and try to squirm. Oh, I need to run to the bathroom real quick. BRB. All right, I return. Um, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Um, that a certain someone might be in a coffin. Just saying. It's just a thought, you know. You move your arms outward, but they do not get very far. There's a wall above you, and walls on either side of you, walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Is she is she in a coffin? I feel like she might be in a coffin. Not, I must add, that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. Oh my god, that's awful. That is awful. You should feel ashamed of yourself. That is awful. Not gonna lie, it's great. But still, awful. You have never had much in the way of upper body strength, nor lower body strength. Yeah, because her limbs are like twigs. I think that's kind of the implication of the MC is like she's kind of like a twiggly limbs person. You do not have much in the way of strength at all. Absolutely skip all the leg days. Look at her. I mean, she was running through the woods at the beginning of the story, and just like her literally they describe her legs are like twiggly and like just
not that strong. So girlies skip a lot of gyms day. You feel quite helpless as you lie there, out of breath from your meager exertion, unsure of what you should do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You do not know where you are nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down upon you, one which initially you tried to discard. You did not want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? You are lying in a box hemmed in by walls which offer only a scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear the irregular sound of drumming. It is as though somebody, though they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingertip upon the lid of your coffin. That, or it is raining. It is not the finger of a giantess, though, which is disturbing you, nor is it falling rain. It is dirt. The sound continues on and on, as though it is drilling its way inside your skull. It is relentless. It is merciless. Like the tick of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Your time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you, when you were running through the forest? You ought to have known, silly things, that you cannot outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later, it would catch up with you. You are stubborn, though, and you do not want to accept this. Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry not for your parents, whom you hardly knew, nor for your school friends, for you never had any. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, the girl with whom you have been living, and with whom you share one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the gravedigger. Surely, this is some matter of mistake. Once she realized that you are in fact entombed in one of the coffins she is currently filling, for who else would be moving the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. She will pull you out of the darkness back into the world of the living, and then she will hold you close. She will embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. Why would she bury you? You cry to her so loudly you fear your vocal cord might tear, all while banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and, to your relief, your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of the falling soil stops, abate, briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it. So you're awakened then, are you, dear one? The gravedigger says. She sighs. Then she says in a perplexed sort of voice, Now, that is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple hours more, so the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm going to feel bad. Girl, you're like entombing her. I think there's more than feeling bad here. Your companion words, though distant, are unmistakable. You're so tense. You're tuned to every single syllable, and each of them make you gasp. Was this not a mistake then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? To bury you alive, yes. You posit this question to the gravedigger as best you can, trying to keep the tremor from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think in your optimism that if you do not let her know how afraid you are, she will reward you for your bravery and let you go. If this is what you're hoping, though, it is in vain. That's right. You really do catch on quick. So it appears she really has committed to the task of burying you. What's an unfortunate turn of events? Why, though, would she do such a thing? You thought that she was your friend. We are friends, the gravedigger says, her voice still roaringly offhand, roaringly empty. I'm very fond of you. There's nobody dearer to me than you. I've had a really good time with you this last... How long has it been again? I don't remember. Neither do you. Well, if this little detail slipped both of your mind, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she hopes to gain by burying you? You do not understand. But you understand her reply even less. Well, here's the thing, the gravedigger said in a reasonable sort of a voice, as though burying someone alive could ever be thought as a reasonable action. I've been digging graves for a long time, see? You cannot see, it is too dark, but you affirm that you do all the same. Well, I was digging all these graves, but have not had anybody to put them in. Not for ages. It was rather sad. You think you know where this train of logic, twisted though it is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good would come of it. All you can do, for the present, is lie there and listen. I was thinking I'd never find another person to bury in this godforsaken village, not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate. Until you came along, that is. Is this girl just addicted to like, digging graves and bury people in it? Damn. Now that I have somebody I can bury, I'm not going to let the opportunity pass me by. I'm sorry, but this is just part of my job. It's what my father taught me to do. It's all I know how to do. I bury my mother and I bury my father. I bury all my friends. Now, I'm going to bury you too. It is sound logic in a sense, as the daughter of a gravedigger, digging graves is her job, but something about it rankles you. If only you could put your finger on it. Ah, yes. There's a bit of a flaw with her reasoning, is there not? You're not dead after all. You might not be dead now, the gravedigger say in response to your ingenuity, but you will be if given enough time. So you need a dead person. So you decided, you know what, let's just skip the process, murder you, just bury you alive, and you'll die eventually on your own. So you know what, that worked out. I don't think that's how it works. I really don't think that's how it works. Logically speaking, you know, common sense wise. I mean, everybody else I've known die. Who to say you wouldn't be the next? It seems rather more likely that you would die, and quickly, if she persists with her poorly thought out plan to bury you. The coffin's not very large. It affords you precious little space. Eventually, if trapped within it for long enough, you will run out of oxygen. Then, you will suffocate. That, or you will starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow, painful one. You are unsure which death would be worse, given how precarious your situation is. You do not wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger, and quickly, while she is still here. You tell her, tearfully, that you would not leave her. Why would you? You try to sound as convincing as your disordered nerve will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. You say that, she says. But how can I know you're telling the truth? I thought you say you were a traveler, that never stay put in one place for long. You get sick of me for long. Then you'll leave me. This way, at least, I can be assured that we'll always stay together. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be far apart. I even took care to put you in a nice spot, close to my home, so you're only a stone throw away, really. Isn't that nice? Privately, you think that the gravedigger have a different conception of the word nice to you. You do not say this, however. You cannot say much of anything because the panic has begun to set in. It is choking you, stopping up your throat so you can only cry. You scream. You beg and you plead, but it does little good. The gravedigger has already buried her mother. She has already buried her little brothers. She has even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks by burying you, she's doing unto you an act of great kindness. You think that she's going to kill you. In a sense, you are both right. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed in this matter, however, that you will never be able to find any common ground. You might as well save your screaming. She would not listen to you. She's beyond listening. Shh, shh, dear one, say the gravedigger very gently, just as gently as she spoke last night when she confided in you all of her fears. It won't be so bad, really. Nothing will be able to hurt you down there. It'll be just like going to sleep for a really, really long time. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I'll plant flowers on your grave. You'll like that, wouldn't you? This way, we can always be together, and I'll never be lonely again. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your legs, and your head, conceal your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything beyond the sound of the dirt and the scraping of the shovel and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream and you scream and you scream without cease until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the lid of the coffin with as much strength you can muster, but the lid of the coffin is nailed shut. You are in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there, screaming and crying and banging your fists on the roof of the coffin, over and over, as more dirt and debris falls on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your scream for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and you can no longer hear her. You are all alone, trapped in a narrow wooden box which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the back of your nostril when you inhale. It's so potent you can taste it It's so potent that you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual, inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here, underground, forever and ever. Or, to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. It isn't a very pleasant way to go. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? You know what? It's not the end. Let's beat it. Are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Very well, I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy. And you are rather dearer to me than that. What? Who is this narrator? Like, they're so sarcastic and cold. It's just kind of like, what are you? Now, why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. Your fate is, once again, in your hand. Now I wonder, which path will you take? So that's how you can do constant replays without starting over from the start. You just change the path. Yep. Alright, where do we go? To the shore or to the castle? I have an idea who we're gonna meet on, by the way. To the sea or to the castle? Water, sea, or mountain? That's kind of the thing. You know what? What about some nice breezy fresh air? Let's head to the beach. Yeah, let's head to the beach. So, you want to go to the shore? Good idea. What will you discover there, I wonder? This night is far from over, and there are any number of adventures still awaiting you. I hope that you have prepared yourself in advance, and I do hope for your sake that you have learned how to swim. I have a sneaking suspicion that this skill might come in handy. I don't like that narrator. Horrible. Are you sure? Sure. You follow the path which leads to the shore, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which feel ready to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. You're a little more than a wisp of a girl, but you've been running for so very long, and your feet are so very numb. You feel like a great lumbering thing. You need to lie down, and quickly. You only hope, as you continue to run, that you will find a means to escape your current predicament by the shore. You do not know what awaits you, but you have vision of a harbor extending out to the horizon, cradling a fleet of white-sailed fishing vessels. Surely there will be a kindly fisherman who will be willing to take you far, far away on his boat to a place where your pursuer would not be able to find you. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly fisherman, a face you have lifted from the fairy tale you read in abundance as a small child. You will have these thick, bushy eyebrows and dark brown beard streaked through with gray. He will look intimidating at a glance, but he will be fiercely protective of you, just like a father. You do not know what fathers are supposed to be like. You are only imagining. It is your imagination, however, which grants you the strength needed to keep going. You run to the shore. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time has begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares that lurk within it. It's still cold, though, and still foggy. It's still dark, too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. Okay, so this is kind of like the repeat narrative. The moonlight shines down upon the vertiginous cliff, which plummets sharply downward to an array of sharp, spiky rocks below. You felt, upon escaping the woods, a degree of hope, but the sight of these weather-blasted cliffs give you pause. You inhale, then you frown. Now what are you to do? You did not think this plan of yours through very well. Not that you have much in the way of a plan in the first place. There is little in the way of civilization here. The cliffs are far from the village. How far? You do not know, and you cannot see any houses. Where exactly will you rest your weary head? And what of your weary legs? Fitfully, you look around. There's nobody to your east, nor is there anybody to your west. There's no point in looking south, that's the way you came. And when you look to the north, the world falls away from you. The cliffs are too steep to scale, and it is too dark. Naturally, there's not a soul here to help you. You're on your own. You feel so overwhelmed, you could very well cry. You do not cry, however. You know that tears have never helped anyone. You got yourself into this mess. Now you need to get yourself out of it. It is with this thought in mind that you inhale a lungful of salty oceanic air. Then you begin your exploration in earnest. You keep away from the edge of the cliff, afraid that you might slip and take a sudden, unfortunate tumble into the abyss below. You are not as attached to your mortal body as some humans are, but you do not want to die. You still care for yourself, if only a little. And it is this sense of self-preservation which compels you onward. You glance this way and that, depressing the tall grass beneath your shoes as you search for a place of shelter. Surely there must be somewhere. You cannot see any likely-looking settlement, but what is that over yonder? Could it be a roof? You hurry onward, hope budding anew in your heart until, at long last, you reach your destination. There is a house, after all, out here in the wilds, though it doesn't at a glance look very welcoming. The solitary house that you have discovered, not so far from the cliff, is rather unremarkable. It is so small and squat, you cannot imagine it contains within it more than one floor. You cannot even imagine that it contains much more than one room. Though it is dark, it is not dark enough to mask that the cottage has something of a slant to it. It is leaning listlessly to one side like a drunken sailor. The thatched roof, meanwhile, which tops this dwelling has certainly seen better days. There's a hole in the thatch. There's several holes, in fact, and parts of it look particularly bare, almost bald. That is rather concerning. Should it rain, you will not be properly protected from the elements. Can you really stay the night in such a place? You have some misgivings, but do your misgiving matter, really, when there's nowhere else to go? It's not as though you have any other options. It is with a sense of defeat, therefore, that you approach the cottage, which sticks out of the earth like a tombstone. Part of you want to turn back, but you know that would be foolish. The windows of the cottage are dark, but that does not necessarily mean it is empty. It is rather late at night, after all. Whoever lives here, if indeed anybody does live here, might be asleep. You cannot imagine the owners of this cottage will appreciate being roused so very late at night. Do you think they can actually sleep like that? No. You know what? Better not choose her. You cannot let yourself worry too much about these small details, however. Otherwise, you will never get anywhere. You swallows. The taste of the salty sea breeze is pungent in the back of your nostril. Then you rap the knuckles of your right fist on the door. You rap quietly at first, but you do not hear any resultant shuffling inside the cottage. Perhaps you did not use enough strength. Emboldened, you rap your knuckle on the door for a second time, more loudly this time. You wait a few moments, but still you cannot hear anything. Perhaps the cottage is unoccupied after all. You knock for a third time, then wait. The third time, as they say, the charm. Before all that, your knocking goes unanswered. Well, nobody can say that you did not try. More intrigued than anxious, your finger finds the handle of the door. You pour it down, to your surprise. It yields easily. The door swings back for you, as if by magic. It feels almost as if this was preordained. You step foot inside the cottage, which is very dark, and glance around. It is hard to see, given the lateness of the hour, but the cottage interior is about as inspiring as its exterior. Which is to say, not very. It is every bit as small and cramped as you fancy when you observe it from the outside. There are a few cupboards which line the wall, a wood fire which has been extinguished, and a straw pallet on the floor which must function as a bed. Your search is unsuccessful, however, when it comes to trying to locate other humans. You cannot find another soul. Surely that is to your benefit, though. If nobody else live here, then you might as well make yourself at home. Or as at home as one can be, I suppose, in a small, cramped cottage such as these, with holes in the roof. You close the door behind you, then approach the straw pallet. All of a sudden, you feel incredibly weary. The tiredness that assails your limbs is absolute, so intense it overcomes the last of your concern. You settle down upon the straw pallet, yawning as you do. It is not comfortable, but being able to lie down ease some of your aches and pain. Lying down, even on an uncomfortable makeshift bed such as this one, is better than standing. It is far, far better than running. Your eyelid falls shut and your lashes melting together. And, soothed by the sound of the wind and the distant rolling of the wave, you fall asleep. Then you begin to dream. It is not uncommon, of course, to dream. The best and the worst of us do it, from queens in a castle to peasants sleeping in the straw. Why, who is to say that all you have observed tonight has not, in a sense, been a dream of its own? Would that make your nighttime fancies then a dream inside a dream? Perhaps our dreams are empty, hollow things stacked inside one another, like little wooden dolls. Is that not a whimsical thought? How very droll. Your dream, however, cannot be called whimsical, and neither are they particularly droll. They're not pure fabrication, as dreams sometimes are, fleeting fancies that can never come to pass. Your dreams are of a rather pernicious sort. In your dream, you are at the conservatoire with your red hair tied back into prim, proper braids. You're walking through the courtyard, clutching your book to your chest, and you'll make your way to the library. Your head is bowed so as not to look at the face of your passing classmates. You do not want to meet their eyes. This girl with their sensible braids and their sensible shoes are merciless. You hunch your shoulders together in these dreams of yours, so as not to draw their attention, but alas, it is not enough. You stumble, clumsy thing that you are, and you fall, and just like that, all eyes are upon you. They are staring at you. They are laughing at you. You lay there on the ground, by the fountain, your book scattered, and your skirt in a woeful state of disarray. Your knee hurts. Is it bleeding? You examine your injured leg, trying not to cry, and as this transpires, you hear a voice. One of your classmates calling out to you. She has acknowledged you. You look up shyly, tears beading in your eyes at a girl taller than you and prettier and much more refined. She extends her hand toward you. Does she mean to help you? It cannot hurt to try, can it? Hesitantly, you reach out to accept her offered aid. Her finger curls around you tightly, perhaps too tightly. Her nail dig into your skin. It hurts. Deftly, the girl pulls you to your feet. Your leg feels weak from your fall. Your knees is still aching, still bleeding. You stumble, feel out of sort, but you are not afforded much of an opportunity to gather your bearings. The girl's hands are on your shoulder. She's laughing at you. Then, she's pushing you. The sound of the fountain and the running water which drum against the basin, it's all of a sudden very loud. It is overwhelming. It surrounds you, then it engulfs you. It is cold as ice. You cannot breathe. The rushing of the water continues, echoing your eardrum over and over. And then, no, you do not want to remember this. What good will it do? It is in the past where the past ought to remain. You are never going to go back, not even in your dreams. It is this determination which forces you back into the world of the waking with a start. You gasp like a fish as you sit upright, your eyes unnaturally wide. You feel weary from a lack of sleep, and with half-lidded eye, you glance about. It's still dark inside your cottage. The sky visible from beyond the window splashed, still with stars. How long were you asleep? You're not sure. Your dream was so very detailed. It really did feel that you had been transported to a different time, into a different place. When you inhale, you taste rain, floated water in your mouth. Tentatively, you pat yourself down, your finger trailing against the front of your uniform. So vivid was your dream, you half expect to find that your clothes are damp. That is not the case, however. You are, in fact, perfectly dry. Well, now what are you to do? Will you go back to sleep? I think it's a good point for me to stop for the day, so let's do that. Yeah. As my voice getting tired, and I am probably gonna go rest myself. Crackling. But we will resume. So far, this has been a very interesting story. I enjoy a lot of the writing. They got us. They got us in the first half. Not gonna lie, it was like I was like, oh, this is so sweet. Like they can have a good. This is a good ending, right? This is a good ending, right? No, it was not. It was not what we expected. They really did got us in the first half. This certainly has been great. We're on route number 2, going to the shore. So next time we'll resume on this path, see what happens. I have a feeling, because I've seen a lot of screenshot of the characters, except for Gravedigger. Actually, I did not see much of the Gravedigger screenshots going on my feed. I know, right? They got us on the first half. I was like, oh, like the Gravedigger, like she's so nice. Like maybe she's just lonely. Maybe she just wanna keep you like in the domestic lifestyle. No, she straight up just bury you alive. She's like, you're gonna die one day anyway. So I'm just gonna cut the process, and I just make sure that I just pick a nice little plot for your grave, and you're gonna die here. Yeah. You're gonna die anyway, just cut to the chase. Gosh. So we're going to this path. I believe this is the mermaid path. I mean, we're talking about the sea. Listen, she picked a really nice real estate, okay? She was like, this is the spot. This is a stone throw from my house. I can visit you anytime. Anytime I want, your grave is right here. I never have to see you grow old, and never have to see you got sick. We just skip the process. I'm just going to put you to sleep, put you in a coffin, and just like bury you alive. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's everything will be okay. And the narrator, like the fact that like there were some like flags going on within the story when like literally damn it. Literally it was like, because the narrator was like, what you're going to do, and it was like, but at some point you literally caught them saying, I don't even remember what my parents are like. And I'm like, who are you? Clearly sounds like a omnipotent person who's like hovering around the protagonist and just like, yeah, I'm in your head. Hi. Sarcastically. So this is certainly very interesting. Big applaud to Ebihime for the making of this visual novel. Again, I will see when would be a good time. Maybe stream this again next week or another time. But certainly been great so far. Yep. So on that. But outside of that, it is quite late. I feel my vocal cords starting to strain just a little bit. So I'm going to stop because it's been a lot of reading. But thank you everyone for stopping by. I appreciate those who are going to probably watch the VOD for this later. It's kind of the purpose of it, streaming on YouTube. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I didn't know how gory it gets, but well, apparently I'm on the tame. I was on the tamer route. Burning Alive is less gory. That's for sure. And with that, it's time to go to bed and go back to my sleep. Everyone have a good night and do take care. Sweet dreams and let the stars sparkling. Something star sparkling. Let the bell rings you to sleep whenever you can. Like that. Let me go here. I will try to put up the schedule for next week as soon as I can. It was my first time making a schedule this week, so that was a little scuff, but that's not a problem at all. Alright, everybody take care. Sweet dream and let the bed bugs ride. All that jazz. Yay! And with that, 99.